What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Matt's Best Foods. Today, as you can plainly see, we're not having a barbecue. We're actually doing a special trip. Now, this trip is going to be maybe a once in a lifetime, hopefully not just once. But as you can see, we're at the airport and we are going first class. So we'll be flying in first class for about 12 hours, give or take. And we're going to have a look at all the food that's available on the plane, all the food that's available at Heathrow's airport Concorde Room, and we're just going to have a good time with it. So let's see what they've got, and we'll see you on board. So today I'm flying with British Airways, and I'm going to Zimbabwe, of which I will be in first class for the majority of the trip. However, I will have to catch a connecting flight from Johannesburg, but unfortunately there isn't a first class on that aeroplane. Anyway, let's not worry about that too much. The last leg of the journey is a short one, and I did not get permission to film on that bit. So in short, you're not going to miss out on much. Right, now let's make our way towards the flagship lounge of British Airways, the Concorde Room. After having gone through the check-in and security checks, which was the fastest I'd ever been through anything like that before in my life, we were now on our way to the Concorde Room. So up until now, I'd only ever flown in economy. So I wasn't used to this, because even this walk towards the lounges was an experience on its own. Thinking about it now, we probably should have had a look around the other lounge area, just so we could get a sort of idea of what's in there and then compare it to the Concorde Room. I'm assuming it's not as good as the Concorde Room, but anyway, we missed it. We'll get it on the next one. After having been through another check to see if we were first-class passengers, we were then allowed to access the Concorde Room. Upon entering the area, we were met with a very elegant array of seating and dining areas, offering a very relaxing and calming environment. Further into the area, there is a terraced part which also offers more seating and dining places overlooking some of the docked aircraft. But most notably, there was a 13-foot nose from the Concorde aircraft itself. Over to the right, there was a selection of afternoon tea, served with champagne. It was quite the spread, but we did have a few hours before our flight, so we decided to give that a miss and instead try out the Concorde dining area. Now, with all that said, it must be noted that when you are in this Concorde Room and flying first class, you can choose whatever you like, when you like, at no additional cost. Well, not surprising really because of the cost of the ticket, but let's just take that as a bonus. I have to say though, I did have a slight urge to have a scone. Why not? This area provides a comfortable but private dining booth. We didn't have to wait long either before we were met by one of the hosts and shown directly to our booth. Now let's have a look at the menu and see what's on offer. I would have liked to have tried everything on offer, but I controlled myself and opted for the smoked salmon starter, well, mainly because it had caviar. When in Rome. For the main course, the braised beef feather blade caught my attention, so I couldn't say no to that. Once our orders had been placed, we were offered a glass of Pommery champagne to begin with, and then we opted for a wine pairing to go with all the food. The starter was presented beautifully, and even though the flavors were delicate, they were all balanced perfectly to complement one another. Again, with the main course, ticking all the boxes right, presentation perfect, flavors, textures, everything of that dish was just right. I don't think it could have been done better than that. So after the main course was done with, I opted for a chocolate tart and coffee cream. This was very delicious, and a bonus, they even brought along a panna cotta with caramelized cornflakes, which they recommended that we should give it a try. So, who are we to say no? The panna cotta was also excellent. What really got me though was the change in textures. We had that initial crunch and bite from the cornflakes, and then the smooth, velvety creaminess of the panna cotta afterwards. So after that exceptional meal, we went into one of the lounge areas, grabbed a couple of chairs, and just relaxed. Got a caffeine hit, which was necessary, double espresso all the way, and a few other drinks just to pass the time until we were ready to board. And so now it was time to board, so we left the Concorde Room and we headed towards our gate. Now, being first-class passengers, it does have a few perks, one of which is when you get to the gate, you get to jump the queue. So that was quite good. Now, walking through the first-class bit on this aeroplane was amazing. I was amazed at the space available and everything. So let's just take a moment to absorb that. Let's take it all in and have a good look around. Whilst I was preparing myself to be seated in first class, along came an offer of some champagne and some snacks. So I obviously accepted because, who am I to say no? When I finally took my seat, I was then realizing how much space I actually had. And spoiler alert, this is probably going to be mentioned quite a few times in this video of how much space there actually is. But anyway, from that, I saw that I had some pillows there, some pajamas, and an amenities kit from Temple, London. But we'll get into that stuff a little bit later on. Well, everyone, this is first class. As I said before, we're going to have a look at what they have to offer food-wise. And obviously, we're going to review the space and everything because this is the old setup of the first class suites. So coming back from our trip, we'll be in the new suite. So we'll see what the difference is. Obviously, it's going to be, I'm assuming, a lot better. But anyway, we'll get there when we get there. For now, cheers, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, here's the menu. We haven't even taken off yet, and they've passed it around. Ooh. We'll have to have a look at this more in depth later on. All right, so apart from the never-ending glasses of champagne, we have the automatic shutters. Press of a button, and down it comes. Now, I believe on the new suite, this is an option available straight next to you. You don't have to reach over, as that is obviously too difficult to do. But at least you get two windows. Okay, so disregard what I just said about the blinds. There is a button here. I do not even have to move. That makes it go up, and that makes it go down. Or both of them actually, so you can choose them independently. Oh, there you go. Never mind. Oh well, we'll see what the other suites look like on our way back, but yeah, this is all new to me, so I'm just going to try and enjoy it for what it is. And yeah, we'll have a look at what they have to offer food-wise. Alright, so here we have the headphones for first class. There's a screen. Like I said before, this is the old suite, so we'll have to compare these when we are on the other flight back. Anyway, we're doing the safety video now, so let's have a moment to pay attention to this.
And your attention is essential, as this may...
When I was seated and very comfortable, I was provided with the in-flight menu. Now, you can choose to book the cook on this flight if you wanted something else, but I didn't choose to do this as I wanted to see what was on offer on the plane. Again, you can choose anything you like at whatever time you please. But before we go any further, let's get ready for takeoff. Alright, we're beginning our taxi towards the runway. Now, even though I may be on a window seat, I'm actually quite far away from it. Look at all the space before I can even get near it. Incredible. And off we go into the night sky in absolute luxury and comfort. Not long after takeoff, I decided to go have a look at the toilets. So I had a good look round, as you can see here, and I decided to also get changed into the pajamas provided from Temporary London, which to my surprise were very comfortable. Now back at my seat, I had a bit of a look around and I found my tray table, so I thought that this would be a good opportunity to go through the complimentary amenities kit provided by Temporary London. So let's see what's inside. Now with the amenities kit, I was quite surprised at how much stuff there was actually in there. I mean, some of the stuff I didn't use because I didn't have a use for it really, but there were some useful items like, toothbrush for one, that came in handy, and a little bit of deodorant, which is also good sometimes. And it's also worth noting that you can take this kit home with you. It's yours to keep if you please. If not, you can just leave it on the plane. After having chilled out for a little bit, we were informed that dinner service was about to commence. So they had offered us the buddy dining experience. So this is where you're about to see that there's an option to dine with someone in your own suite. Goes to show how much space there actually is in there. Anyway, once we were sat down and ready, our table was laid and then the food started to come out. So before beginning this dining experience on the plane, we had opted to choose the option of a wine pairing for each meal that we had chosen. So anyway, to begin with, you get a starter before you get a starter. This is called an amuse-bouche. Fancy, I know. Anyway, for the starter, I chose the truffle Cornish chicken and leek terrine, which was excellent. Now the starter didn't need any more seasoning, it was perfect the way it was. But they had pepper grinders and salt mills there, so I thought, I'll give it a shot as well, just see how those work. And then for the main, I opted for the duo of Welsh spring lamb rack and slow braised lamb shoulder. And this was accompanied by a Yorkshire pudding, minted mushy peas with a rosemary jus, or gravy for those who are not familiar with the term jus. This dish was also excellent, delicious, and well presented, bearing in mind that I'm on an aeroplane. It was also served with a side of roasted carrots, kale, new potatoes, and cherry tomatoes. Okay, now after the mains, for dessert I opted for a chocolate, hazelnut and raspberry cake with the raspberry sorbet. Now for me this was the highlight of the meal. And actually, no pun intended, but this dish took the cake. It looked like it was an artwork more than a food. Nonetheless, very delicious and refreshing. After dinner, it was time to unwind, so the cabin crew kindly turned my very comfortable chair into an even more comfortable bed. This was another highlight of the first class experience, and I was amazed at the amount of room that I had. So I decided to watch a movie and then catch some shut-eye. Because then when I awoke to an amazing sunrise. But you know what that means? It's time for breakfast. After having freshened up, I came back to find my once bed now back in the dining position. So for breakfast, I opted to have a couple of pastries on the side and a full English to top it all off. Not long after breakfast, it was time for me to get changed back into my normal clothes as we were coming in to land in Johannesburg, South Africa. Well everyone, that will do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy it as much as I did, then you know what you gotta do. You gotta like, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications so that you can stay up to date with all the new content that's gonna come out. Thanks again, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one, and cheers.